Hello and welcome to the Glazier Nation podcast. My guest this week is Andrew Haring. Andrew is the Vice President of the National Glass Association. With Glass Build right around the corner, we wanted to have Andrew on to talk about the event. I'm your host, John Spellman, and thanks for checking out the podcast. With the exception of a little youth sports talk, this podcast is all about Glass Build. So if you're going to Glass Build as an exhibitor, as a visitor, if you're on the fence about Glass Build, this is a podcast for you. As always, I had a blast chatting with Andrew, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Glazier Nation podcast is brought to you by Glazier Nation. You can check out all their offerings at glaziernation.com. And going with our guest and the theme of the show is also sponsored by Glass Build.
Work in the glass or fenestration industry? Build your team, business, and livelihood by attending the biggest industry event of the year, Glass Build America. Join your peers, prospects, and competitors in Atlanta October 31st through November 2nd for the ultimate business building and networking event, Glass Build America. Learn more and register at glassbuild.com. That's glassbuild.com. Register for free using promo code POD.
What age softball are we talking about?
10 and under, 10 years.
Is it a machine pitch, coach pitch, pitching themselves?
I think saying pitching is being generous. There's some rolling going on and some chucking and flinging. It's my girls' softball team, and so it's the kids pitching to varying degrees of efficacy. There's a lot of walks and a lot of girls getting beaned.
My older boy will move up to that league in the spring. He probably could have moved up this fall. Right now we're doing machine pitch, but I have both boys on the same team. I usually can do like 2 seasons of them together and then 1 season of them apart, and then they're back together. The age gap, right? So he'll move up to that in the spring, and he'll experience getting beaned and walking people and getting stolen on 4 times after wild pitches. So,
How
long has your daughter been doing that?
Say again?
How long has your daughter been doing that?
Oh, this is her first year. So it's I played baseball growing up, but this is the first year she's done that. Up until now, she was into gymnastics, and so she decided she wanted to try a team sport. So we're giving it a go. 2 games under our belt. Sorry?
Does she like it?
Oh, she's loving it. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I guess we'll get our real answer when we ask her if she wants to sign up again next year. But so far, she seems to be liking it a lot.
That's good, man. Yeah, I'm a baseball fan, and I definitely suggested the kids try it and sign them up for it, right?
Don't say Braves.
Jam it down their throat.
Don't say Braves.
No, I'm a Phillies fan.
Okay, that's better.
I'm a Phillies fan, and we got the Braves tomorrow night. It should be a lot of fun.
It's getting exciting right now.
But getting the boys interested in baseball has been a lot of fun, and I didn't know I would enjoy coaching as much as I have. Are you liking that aspect of it?
I'm digging it. Yeah, I mean it's nice. I'm just the assistant coach, but it's nice being out there interacting. I don't know that I have a ton of skill sets to contribute, but it's just fun being able to interact and engage with her on that level. So it's been a blast. And it's kind of learning the sport together in different ways. Up until now, you drop down money for a family of 5 to go to a baseball game, and their interest is just, where's the snack guy? Can we get souvenirs? They're not even watching the game, and so now we can sit down and watch the game, and she kind of understands what's going on, and so it's kind of a whole nother just a degree of attachment. It was always a conduit with me and my dad when I was a kid, just baseball. So it's nice getting to experience a little bit of that now.
Yeah, I love it. I've tried to turn this podcast into a youth sports podcast a couple times unsuccessfully, and when we had to schedule around your daughter's softball practice, I got real excited that we could chat it up a bit.
Yeah, that episode with Max talking about youth cage fighting, that was phenomenal.
We talked about youth cage fighting?
No.
Oh, just I was like, damn, I've had a lot of these. I don't remember that. We've been real fortunate enough that we've met a lot of good families doing it too, and I think that's helped my kids maintain interest. Is the friends they've made and the level of help that we've had, the other families. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's like there's a whole little kind of click to it, like the softball family, the moms and the dads. It's like all in. Like our weekends look a lot different these days than they did a year or so ago. So, but it's all been good.
Cool. So you are not on this podcast to discuss youth sports as much as I'd like to just do that. We're here to talk about Glass Build. We've got Glass Build right around the corner. I know that is a major event for you, for the glass industry. I want to start with, I have not been to a Glass Build for probably 20 years. I remember going to Atlanta like 20 years ago with my dad and his partner, a guy named Marty Beaver. For anyone that's maybe not super familiar, like what is Glass Build?
Well, I assume you're breaking that slump this year, right?
I think I may be there.
I hope so. I think you're slotted to do a ton of interviews. So, and you have a booth there. But yeah. So actually, this is in 20 years. This is the 20th anniversary of Glass Build. So that's maybe you were at the first one. You know, it's existed in different iterations. There's the Glass Show and the NGA Show, but actually being branded Glass Build, this is the 20th version of it. So maybe your bookends. You're at the first one and you're at the latest one.
Yeah, maybe, and I might be ballparking that 20 years a little bit. It was a long time ago. It was in Atlanta,
and you were
like cool glass stuff. So what is Glass Build?
You know, it's a lot of different things to different people. It's very much a trade show, but it's bigger than that for this industry. You know, I equate it to the Super Bowl of the industry, where everyone kind of unites and gets back together. It is a product show, but it's more of just a marketplace. It's where people go to conduct business. The buying and selling that takes place on the show floor, off the show floor at networking hours. The education tracks there. I mean, it's really an opportunity. Everyone's busy all year round, but if you can make 2.5 days out of your schedule out of the year, you can catch up on so much just to see what's there, product trends, economic forecasting for the year to come. You can start planning ahead for what 2024 and beyond is going to look like, and just really see everything that's available, stuff that you know, stuff that you don't know, be introduced to different project segments, you know, business opportunities that could present new revenue streams. And so it's really just, it's so much jam-packed into just that 2.5, 3 days that kind of dabbles in all the different columns, whether it's seeing new products, reconnecting with old friends, meeting new ones, and really just getting the North American industry kind of in a nutshell in one sitting. I don't think there's an opportunity like that anywhere else.
So a lot of different things, a lot of different benefits. Start with a trade show, but I agree, you're right. There's a lot more, and the size of it, I mean, it's grown considerably, yeah, over the years.
Oh, absolutely. This is probably the biggest floor plan we've had to date. We're going to have over 480 exhibitors there, and just the footprint itself is going to be massive. And so I always like to, you know, we want to differentiate. There's a million events that happen throughout the year, whether it's a small 1-day conference, 2-day conference, a smaller expo, just different scale. I mean, you can't really compare the two. It's not apples to apples when you're looking, you know, at the convention center floor for 3 days versus, you know, just some tabletops. A lot of the regional shows are great because it's an opportunity for companies that might not have the opportunity to get to a bigger show or on either coast once a year. But there's really no substitute for kind of real product, you know, that doesn't really translate well versus, you know, a brochure or a tabletop sample versus just seeing a full-size piece of machinery or equipment, a full-size curtain wall. Like, it's just not, there's not really a substitute for that. And so it's really a great opportunity to kind of get out there. You can kick the tires and really experience the scale and quality of different products.
What's new at Glass Build this year?
Oh, boy. I would say, you know, there's a lot of returning evergreens on the content side. We have over 120 exhibitors at Glass Build this year that have never exhibited at the show. And so you're going to have the opportunity to see stuff you've probably never seen in person. That's a big differentiator. On the content side, one of the biggest draws or one of the most popular presentations we've ever done, and we do it each year, is the economic forecast. And that's Connor Lokar from ITR Economics. Just a brilliant mind, and just his presentation and delivery is phenomenal. But previously it's been kind of not behind a paywall, but it's been relegated to the glazing executives forum. It's a much smaller group that you pay for, and that's kind of a treat for them. This year, for the first time, we're bringing it out to the main stage, to everyone in the room. Anyone that's at Glass Build can see this, and in that hour presentation, you're going to walk away with all sorts of tools and intel and insights for the year to come. That's a big one. More on the content side as well. We've kind of gotten a little more nuance in the topics we cover. Yes, we're still going to talk about code updates, things you need to know, product trends, industry trends. But we're also taking a look at, some of the, more sensitive topics or the tougher to talk about topics. We're going to, we have a panel on mental health and suicide prevention in the construction industry, diversity, equity, and inclusion, women in glass and fenestration. And so we're kind of taking a look in a way that I don't think people in this industry have seen at similar or seemingly comparable events. It's really kind of taking a fresh look at some of the different things that impact businesses and aren't necessarily immediately come into mind for a business. Like, okay, I make widgets, I sell widgets for this price, I need to know this, this, and this, but here's the thing to actually improve your business. Here's the things that you need to be mindful of as an owner, an operator, a manager, in just that general sense, and through that lens of the glass and fenestration industry.
So I like it. I mean,
yeah,
you've got to go there. There's more to business than just the widget, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was something my old boss told me, Mr. Don Freeze, and he said the hardest thing about running a business in this industry is the people, and so managing the people, and so you have to find ways to accommodate, and people want that belonging, they want that equity, and so these topics didn't exist or to the degree that we're talking about them now. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, like it's becoming front and center. And so, NGA, I think it's on us to make sure that we're creating a space where it's comfortable to talk about these things and identifying the right voices and perspectives to bring to that.
I think it's probably pretty safe to say too that the construction industry is probably behind in making these things a priority. My employer does a pretty good job with this kind of stuff. I talked with Tom Jackson 2 podcasts ago, and he's got a pretty good program for this kind of stuff. But a lot of your, smaller mom and pop type shops, or even probably some of the corporations. Just construction industry, I feel lags behind on a lot of that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That's if ever there was a safe statement. And so you'll find exceptions to the rule, like you said. I know your organization, Tom Jackson, has done phenomenal things, just having an open mind and being much more progressive. But yes, I think we're definitely lagging in terms of that adoption cycle we were talking about earlier off camera.
That means there's a lot of room for improvement, though.
Yeah. And so, you gotta start somewhere, and there's only one direction to go. And so I'm proud that we have a long ways to go, but I don't want to dismiss, I'm proud of where we're at and that we're at least talking about these things, and identifying. In some respects, they become taboo topics that people are either afraid to talk about, or they're afraid of the ramifications, or they're just busy. And these aren't things that their parents didn't care about, or their boss didn't care about, or their boss's bosses, just down that cycle. These weren't necessarily priorities. And so as the world changes, as business leaders and business owners, we're not immune to that or exempt from it. So
yeah,
I'm really proud about this.
Everywhere it's been probably magnified. I believe that everybody's busy and we all need to be tough. Hey, someone listening to this that is still on the fence about going to go to Glass Build. Why should they go to Glass Build?
To be on the Glazier Nation podcast.
A good answer. You plug.
No, if you've been 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's different. You're going to see something that you didn't see there. It's not the same show that it was. If you've never been, you're missing out. this opportunity is, at the very least going to keep you neck and neck with your competitors, if not give you an advantage. And if you don't, you're going to miss out on things and that your competitors might not on. And so, I mean, that gives them an advantage there. And so I think to get a good temperature check on the industry, you absolutely need to prioritize the time to be there. We're all busy. It's not cheap to fly or get a hotel, but I mean, you got to prioritize and just, think of the opportunity and think of the value. And if you go and you tell me after day 3 that you didn't find value in it, I will eat my hat.
That's a hard thing to do. I'm not sure I've ever seen someone eat a hat. All right. Something my wife and I are super into, like if we're going somewhere new, we got to find the insider tips, right? So we're in Florida, so we're going to a theme park for the first time. You got to find insider tips. Give me an insider tip for a new exhibitor. What do they need to know?
A new exhibitor. New exhibitor to glass build or never been to a trade show exhibiting?
I mean, take whatever angle you like.
Bring snacks.
Let's say glass build. New to glass build. They're one of your 120 new exhibitors coming to glass build. What's something they should know?
Be respectful. Don't suitcase in the aisles. Go for quality over quantity. Don't be the sales rep that just, harasses you, chases you down, and just goes for that badge scan. Look for meaningful interactions. Give people breathing room. Don't jump on them the second they step inside your booth. Bring some snacks to hide somewhere in the booth, just because you're going to get busy and you'll end up going 8 hours without eating. So make sure that you're ready for that round 2 for the networking that happens in the evening by sneaking in snacks here and there. And along the lines of just that lead acquisition, the follow-up counts as much, if not more, than that badge scan. It doesn't matter if you had a slam dunk of an interaction at the show. If you're not following up with that person with their need and reminding them of the conversation you had, because, I mean, you got to keep in mind, anyone that you've talked to is talking to hundreds of other people about hundreds of other products. And so if you're putting it on them to recall that, or that for them to reach out to you, then that's a losing game.
I like the visual of the aggressive sales rep just scanning badges.
Well, I come from a former exhibitor side too, and you get some of these sales reps, and they come back to the office after the show, like, oh, how was the show? Oh, it was great. I got 300 badge scans. It's like, all right, well, what did you sell? Like, what are you doing with them? And
yeah,
they're just boom, 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 running out there and scanning anybody that they can stop long enough.
That might just be personally funny to me. And the angle I've always trying to take in sales is not be like the sales guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes that sounds funny because you're supposed to be selling, but like, example, I haven't done one in a while, mostly because it's been too hot. I should get back to it, is doing some video of buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled up to this car dealership that we had done, and I was going to do video, and there was just like 8 guys like ready to bombard me as soon as I got out of the car, and I just turned right around in the parking lot, like
so like a pack of wolves and a 3-legged cat.
I just want a video of the storefront. I'm not buying a car.
Oh, it's not a good luck. Yeah, it's not a good look either. People don't, they'll talk to you when they have a question. And it's okay to ask if they have a question, but I think it's easy to dial it up too much, and just I don't think anyone wins there.
Yeah. Same question, insider tips. Someone that is a new visitor, they're coming there to check everything out. What's something they should know?
Register in advance is number one. Register now. Even if you're on the fence whether you might go or not go, you can find a promo code from any of the 480 exhibitors. But get registered, because if you try to register on site, it's a nightmare of a mess. I mean, it's just jammed at the reg desk on day 1 or so. So I mean, that would be step 1. Pre-planning for sure. Go on the website. You can look up company exhibitors by their names, by their product categories. and you can just kind of get a lay of the land there. Start creating your hit list. You can start, saving, bookmarking companies that that you want to see. And you don't even have to like preset appointments, just, but get a game plan, because the floor plan is huge. And so if you don't really come with a plan of attack, like you're just, you can try to serpentine it and cover every inch of it, but that's you could go there all 3 days and still not see it all. So figure out who you want to see, figure out where they are. So, strategically work a route, and then save that. And just
Did you
make sure that you know who you're going to see. Sorry?
Was it 470 exhibitors? 480?
We just cleared 480. So,
So
482 or 480 and some change. But be intentional.
you get the 480 booths.
Yeah, and so we try to organize the show floor with some logic, but a lot of it is up to the exhibitor as far as what spots they pick on the floor. We have machinery and non-machinery. Those are the two biggest distinctions that are easy. But if you just go willy-nilly and just start walking, you might not get to see every company that you intended to see. So plot it out in a logical way, like an order that makes sense, as you kind of go from the front to the back of the floor. That would be those three recommendations. And comfy shoes, very comfortable shoes.
Yeah,
This isn't the place to try out those new dress shoes that you're really like back to school shopping, where you're really excited and you laid out your outfit for the next day. Don't try new shoes on the first day or at the show at all.
You got to look good at Glass Build, man. You got to make some deals.
There's a nice clean pair of sneakers who does that trick. But
I think you're right.
If you're exhibiting, go for it. But you're going to be on your feet all day. But yeah, if you're attending, count your steps. You'll be in the 30,000 to 50,000 step range.
So there's actually like a fitness benefit to this, is what we're pitching.
I think that depends on your eating and drinking while you're at the show.
Fair. We kind of touched on how this has grown over the years. Obviously, we're up to 400 exhibitors. If you looked back 20 years ago, kind of what was the range back then? 50, 100?
I can't speak to 20 years ago. I've probably been going for 10 to 15. I would just say the size and how exhibitors show up is different. Like, everyone goes bigger and badder now. 15 years ago, it was smaller size booth, less products. It just looks and feels a lot different than what you would think of a traditional trade show. And so, obviously the number of companies and the diversity of products has changed, and just the programming in general. Like, it's not just the product show, it's the education blocks, the tracks there, the networking opportunities. We're really trying to, embrace this culture, this mindset of it being, this industry being a community. And so last year, for the first time, we brought out it was the Glass Build tailgate party. So on the last day of the show, you've been busy buying and selling and talking for 3 days. Here's your chance to, let loose a little, let your hair down. We're going to end the show, come outside, have some barbecue, play some games, listen to some music, and just talk. You can still network, but it really takes the pressure off, or it kind of gives you a breather from that transactional setting, and just really kind of ends the show on a high note. Historically, for any show out there, day 3 is always kind of a dud. And so we decided to kind of double down on it. It's like, all right, well, let's give people a reason to stay. They're still going to get that networking, but it's, going to take you off of the show floor a little bit and just kind of give you a chance to kind of just relax a little bit.
Are you doing that this year?
Oh, yeah. And so this year we're doing a slightly different angle on it. It's going to be the Glass Build Rodeo. It's still going to be day 3. It's going to be Friday, the last hour of the show that goes on beyond that. But it's really to bring attention to Dallas 2024. We'll be moving Glass Build for the first time to Dallas. And so the rodeo was kind of a fun way to kind of have a fun event, but then also kind of as Atlanta comes to an end, all sights set on Dallas. And so we're going to have some sponsors there. There's going to be mechanical bowls, calf roping, nacho bars, margarita stands. It's going to be fun. So again, more health benefits. If you do more bull riding and less nacho eating, I think you get some you'll be in the black.
What's the waiver process for the bull riding?
I'm sure there's going to be something to sign that we are not responsible. Just wear your headgear.
Yeah, so I'd seen that on LinkedIn. I thought that was unique. And that's where I've seen the evolution of it, right? Is I haven't been there. We already discussed in a long time.
Yeah.
It may not have even been called Glass Build when I was there. But the content and the buzz around it and the stuff I've seen where everybody has the emoji version of themselves or cartoon version of themselves, it's like you described. It's a community, and it kind of starts on the social media pages and the hype builds, and everybody gets there, and hopefully people can accomplish the business goals they have for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know this as well as anyone else. I mean, you have to change, and you have to adapt, and you have to grow. If Glass Build stayed the same as it was 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, it would be irrelevant. And so it needs to adapt. It needs to grow and change. You know, business needs change, and we need to be mindful of that and accommodate and provide that. And the way we look at it, okay, it doesn't just have to be a trade show where we go and we wear our suits and we sit in this technical presentation and then we go collect X amount of flyers and samples. Let's give people a reason to hang out. Like, they can find so much information online in sales calls or go into either their customers or their vendors' place of business, but creating that sense of belonging and wanting to be somewhere, even if you don't need to make that capital investment, buy this big thing or this little thing, or I need to source this, I need to, those things still count and matter. The supply chain diversification is more important than ever, but also, like, what's going to compel you to go to Atlanta for 3 days? By the time you book travel, I mean, you're looking at a week of being either away from your family, out of your office. And so let's stack as much value into that as possible. And so it's got to hit different things in different areas. It is the business component. It is the networking component. Let's throw in some social activities to make it fun too. And so that's really kind of the morphing I've seen that we've really tried to instill in the last few years.
I think you guys have done a great job. The vibe seems more fun, yet still like we're gonna conduct business. We're going to make deals. There's going to be networking. But you kind of mentioned the suits and sitting down. That's how it felt when I went. But I might have been.
Yeah, I mean, you got at the time. Yeah, you got to walk that line. I mean, we're talking about this industry. We love this industry, and this is our livelihood. And so, yes, we are here for business, but we can also mix a little column A and column B. And so, we still want to take it seriously. Why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing. These important things matter. But we can also have a good time and while we're doing it and enjoy each other's company. And so I think that's really the mark that we've been pushing to hit lately.
Hey, one last thing I wanted to pick your brain on. You're a marketing guy, and you're obviously doing a great job with NGA. Similar to how Glass Build has evolved over the years, marketing has evolved. I feel like that's a bit of an understatement.
Sure.
We let off earlier that the construction industry doesn't necessarily evolve in certain areas as fast as other industries maybe. So wanted to pick your brain on marketing. Where do you think people should be spending their marketing dollars these days? And maybe you could break that into vendors versus contractors.
That's a faceted answer because this industry is a different animal than, if I went and hired, a new grad, brand new to marketing, but knows all the best practices, all the latest tools, they're probably only going to be able to use half of that in the construction and specifically the glass industry. I mean, there's some progressive tactics out there that do work, particularly on social, whether that's just content creation. I do like the specificity you can get into with targeting on LinkedIn and by segments. That's always going to be valuable. Just the kind of the blossoming that has happened on LinkedIn in just like probably the last 3 years that's really become prime hunting ground for even just interactions, not necessarily for those sales calls. And there's right ways and wrong ways to do it, even within that. And so, I mean, we'll use everything from geo-fencing an event, a location, to serve up digital ads, or we'll retarget based on that. And I mean, those are pretty sophisticated they're not new, but sophisticated for, I would say, the construction industry. And they work. But there are some business owners, there's men and women out there that, they're not necessarily on LinkedIn. We'll still send a fax blast and hit those folks. There's people that still want a printed mailer. And so there's no silver bullet. And so you need to kind of pick and choose your battles depending on what it is you're promoting. If you're promoting a product to sell, if you're selling curtain wall and storefront, that's going to look different to me who's promoting an event to an entire industry. You're looking for a very specific type of contractor. I'm looking at everybody. And so trying to find those different avenues to hit those different people. I mean, just the tactics is one component, and then just the messaging style and the tone are going to look vastly different from campaign to campaign. And so being flexible and adaptable, but you also still want to have some level of consistency in the voice. Like, it can't just be scattershot, like you have 3 different agencies kind of doing their own thing, talking to different people and totally different voices. That's, you need some brand consistency. And so that's what makes it fun for me, is that it's never a dull moment. There's always ways to do it better and different, and I'm always learning. And so that's, I think to be effective, you need to, one, be hungry, be curious, and seek out information. And then also just pull people around you. If you see someone doing something you like, unless they're a direct competitor and there's a conflict of interest, but I think sharing ideas is a very, I think it's effective, and I think people's willingness to share their experiences and their opinion we're in a way different place now than we have been, even, again, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. People are much more open to collaborating and idea sharing than they've ever been. So I've reached out to people. I've had people reach out to me asking my opinion on, it could be a very specific piece of collateral, or just a strategy, or we know we need to do something. Well, what do you recommend? And the willingness of people to engage and share is phenomenal. So don't be shy. And if they shut you down, then, well, F them. You didn't want to work with them anyway.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And that was part of Tom Jackson's message too when I talked to him, was working with your competitors and sharing information to better the industry. So I think there's a lot there.
Yeah, that mentality, that's the rising tide lifting all ships. I mean, it sounds trite, but it's really true. You will find folks that are still play it close to the vest, but I think if you can share ideas with a similar size company approaching the same, it could be in a totally different territory or market, different state, different city. But you'll find people that are quote unquote competitors that are sharing ideas. You don't have to step in the same pile of shit I stepped in last year if I tell you how to avoid it. And that makes the industry better. That gives the glass industry legitimacy if it looks like we have it together and it's just not scattershot, like, who knows. So we're in a different place these days, and I love all of it.
I think the technology and the way that it's easier to share information has probably helped too. Andrew, I know you got to get to softball. So is there anything else you want to throw out there for Glass Build or softball? We could talk more about softball.
Oh, I've had to learn a bunch of new rules about girls 10 and under softball that didn't apply to baseball ever. So I'm going to learn as well. Who's coaching the coach, right?
Have you learned how to pitch underhand?
No.
I don't know how to do that, and I have 2 boys that we won't ever try.
I've learned how to pitch slowly overhand, but no, I can. They can whip that thing pretty good. I've taken one to the shin. And...
Andrew, anything you want to throw out there? Glass Build, softball.
Make the time. You won't regret it. Reach out to me if you have questions. I can tell you why you should. I'll tell you why you shouldn't. Like, if you give me some legit concerns, I'd love to be stumped. And again, I'm not that aggressive sales guy. I'll tell you if I think it's a fit or not. But yeah,
What's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
I'm pretty easily findable on LinkedIn. I would start there. Yeah, find me there, and go scope out the website. We just totally revamped the Glassbuild website just in the last year and a half or so, and so there's so much information on there, just from articles, blogs, products, new exhibitors. You can really get a good read on the show just by checking out the website. And just register. I encourage you to go. Glassbuild.com.
Cool. Greatly appreciate your time, Andrew, man. I will see you soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You have a great night.
Take care.